Welcome back to the Charismatic Voice, where we dive into the heart-pounding world of music analysis. Today, I'm returning to a metal titan, Slipknot, and I'm bracing myself for raw energy, combined with some Valley Girl fry, perhaps, and of course, total chaos. Let's get to it. Holy cow. That gets your adrenaline going. Wow. I just feel like I was just got plowed over by the sound. Let's go back to the beginning. There's a lot to say, but the first thing is I just feel like my heart is beating faster. That very first sound that he makes on Go, it is just, you immediately know that you're in for a ride. I mean, you just said Go, but it has so many layers of different kinds of sounds contained in just that one. And by that, I mean, you have very clearly true chords that are in there because we have a pitch, but then it sounds like there's other things that are essentially creating fuzziness in the sound. I like how this is shot. Also, the way there's like a sort of with the diphthong of go, right? It's a diphthong because it's one vowel that actually is made up of both an O and an U, go. And you can hear at the end how it kind of swings up just a teensy bit. It's fun. I love the pause before too. There's enough anticipation already with that beginning right before the beat comes in. And of course, I'm just excited to hear Slipknot again. But then you have that moment of silence. I'm like, the anticipation is building so much, I can't handle it anymore. And then at that very moment, you get this adrenaline-filled vocal. That's so cool. It's almost like he's doing a chromatic descent, but it's not as specific. And it just is kind of grating even. With a chromatic descent, that means that I've got half steps that are next to each other. And as they're going down, it can create a lot of tension at the same time as feeling like you're about to descend into some sort of crazy spiral. Let's go back to that moment. Inside and outside, worn out, sealed in tight. There's your chromatic descent. Also, I think that the upper and the bottom line were recorded at different times. You could very clearly do this all together, one in a live performance. But in the studio version, I hear some consonants from the first two parts that were overlapping just a little bit. Right there was the overlap. Yeah. Whoa. So we had our Valley Girl Fry moment in there, right? Valley girls talk like this sometimes. I think you probably know some people in particular that talk like that are awesome celebrities. Uh, and that's usually happening when there's essentially not enough air support to create this self-sustaining oscillation that creates vocal folds going like this repetitively at a certain speed so that you get a true pitch. I know those are kind of some big words in there. Basically, in order for the vocal folds to make a pitch, they need to have enough air pressure going through them that they're able to go wacka, 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 wacka at the same rate fairly quickly. So where he's singing in some of these parts, it's probably, I want to say probably like 350 hertz-ish is some of the notes where he's singing in there. And that would be 350 times per second. And then when he goes like this, that's not sustained oscillation. It's not enough to create a pitch. The air pressure is fairly lax. The vocal folds are kind of a little more floppy. They're not coming together really regularly. And that's what creates your Valley Girl Fry, where he kind of did a little bit of rapping there.
You sold that little instrumentation. I've got no time to lose. I'm just caught up in all the cattle. Free the strings, throw the shapes. Hold your breath. Listen,
There's a really cool scream on top of it. Oh.
shapes. Hold your breath. Listen, I am a world before I am a man. I was a creature before I could stand. I will remember before I forget. Before I forget that.
Huh. It's so interesting how that it felt so clean in a lot of ways. I mean, we got a lot more clarity on the pitch end. So we had, if we're like to talk about our clean versus distortion in vocals, right? Clean is going to be created by your two vocal folds. Distortion or harsh vocals is going to be created by some sort of anatomy that's above your two vocal folds. This might be your false vocal folds. This might be your, there's honestly an epiglottis that can rattle back there. There's spit that can rattle back there. There's your area epiglottic folds. There's so many different structures that can construct. We've even seen lingual tonsils get involved in that sound creation. Now, some people will try to create this sound using their true vocal folds, and that's when you tend to get into trouble. So that's where you don't want to mess with things, and when people tend to blow out their voices trying to get to a harsh, grittier sound. Now, in this part, we definitely tilted that scale to have more of the clean sound overall, which is kind of cool. I'm like, I like the way I'm getting such a mix across the board of different kinds of vocal sounds.
I am a world before I am a man. I was a creature before I could stand. I will remember before I forget. Before I forget that.
That's cool. This also somehow really reminds me of James Hetfield. I think it might be the very direct and aggressive approach. There are times in Corey Taylor's vocals where he has subtlety, but this is not one of them. Is this the chorus? I'll figure it out. I think that might be the chorus. It definitely just plows straight into your face.
Listen, I am a world before I am a man. I was a creature before I could stand. I will remember before I forget. Before I forget that.
So interesting how they pulled his voice back in the mix at that moment. I'm not really sure why they did that, but I think it was Rick Rubin that was I want to say the producer, who's a legend. And also, I believe that this song won a Grammy for them. So call out to that production because it's intriguing and it makes me want to hear more. So let's keep going.
I'm rigged across the ditch and settled in the dirt. I'll wear you like a stitch. Yeah, I'm the one who's hurt. Pay attention to your twisted little indiscretions. I've got no right to it. I'm just caught up in all the battles. Locked in clutch, pushed and
Man, I wish I could get a camera down his throat. Like, there just some times when you hear a singer and you go, he's so good at making that Valley Girl Fry sound and using that really well in his music. I would be so curious to see exactly what it looks like on a camera. I've seen examples, but he's the way he's incorporated it into his music is really interesting to me. And I'd really like to learn more about what he's doing there. And I'd like to learn more about how it feels too. Because normally, if you go into that fry feeling, you suddenly are pumping a lot less air through. So I wonder if that feels like a time of restoration vocally. I would think it would feel like it was more restorative there. However, if you're trying to pump a lot of sound through there, like you might in a live performance, that could be dangerous because the way you get more dynamics typically out of the voice, like a louder sound, is you will have more breath pressure that's built up underneath the larynx. Now, if you're doing that, there's only so loud you can really get before you're really putting a lot of extra stress in there. So I'm really, really curious how that's incorporated into everything, and I'm guessing that you get really close to the mic on those kinds of parts.
Caught up in all the battles, locked in clutch, pushed in place. Hold your breath. Listen, I am a world before I am a man. I was a creature before I could stand. I will remember before I forget. I am a world before I am a man. I was a creature before I could stand. I will remember before I forget.
Ooh, that was such a cool transition straight in. Yes, that's definitely the chorus, and I just repeated 2 times for this one. And I'd read that I think it was Rick Rubin as well that didn't think this chorus was going to work. Uh, I think it's so fascinating. It's actually quite hooky. Uh, quite hooky. And I think it's good that they repeated it twice there to try and give us a little bit more familiarity with it so we have a little bit of a place to hold on to in the song. And in addition, I just think the words are intriguing, right? I am a world before I am a man. I was a creature before I could stand. I will remember before I forget that. And I think that the theme overall of this song is essentially standing your ground and doing the good thing, the right thing. Man, I know many people in metal have a history of being sort of shunned because people think that they're evil in some way or are a bad influence. And then you see themes like this, like stand your ground, be a good person. And you say, oh man, I want more people like that in society. That's awesome. That's super awesome. Okay, back a little bit. Second time, of course. I love the way they show his mouth there and they show him singing through his teeth. I think that gives some of that aggression in his sound. Before I am a man, I was a creature before I could stand. I will remember before I forget. Before I forget that. Justifies my means. All I ever do is delay, but every attempt to evade the end of the road in my hand. It justifies my means. All I ever do is delay my every attempt to evade the end of the road. Whoa. So during this sort of breakdown, I'm really thinking about how they've separated Corey Taylor's voice from the rest of the sound bed. And because it doesn't actually sound like, especially in the first part, like he's singing very loudly. And yet you still hear his sound coming through. There's an interesting doubling in there I think there's a really interesting focus on the sound as well. Such a big shift in the overall feeling.
It justifies my means. All I ever do is delay.
Right? That it's impressively done. I bet there was a lot of EQing done to try and carve out some space for his voice there.
It justifies my means.
Yeah, you can actually hear that some of the instrument, I think there was a guitar that was singing around the same, or that was playing around the same pitch is where his vocal entrance is. It's taken out.
It justifies my means.
It drops lower.
All I ever do is delay. But every time to evade the end of the road in my hand. It justifies my means.
And so there you have him doubled in octaves, and that really helps the voice just stick out in particular. It pops a lot more.
Road in my hand. It justifies my means. All I ever do is delay. My every attempt to evade the end of the road. I am a worldly.
Man, his screams, the way he goes into them, they sound like so intense. They're kind of scary, gotta say. Also, the masks are scary. I like the way that this video is so artfully shot, and we have tons of close-ups of the masks. And just, I'm not a maggot yet. Maybe I will eventually be there. I'm still very new to this journey of Slipknot. But I've been seeing how the masks evolve and change, and it's like really cool. I like the theme throughout in the band.
All I ever do is delay. My every attempt to evade the end of the road. I am a worldly, for I am a man. I was a creature before I could stand. I remember before I forget. Before I forget that. I am a worldly, for I am a man. I was a creature before I could stand. I will remember before I forget. Before I forget that. I am a worldly, for I am a man.
It's interesting. The chorus actually feels short, and so it makes sense to keep repeating it and repeating it, repeating it. And it's also sort of narrow in the range as well, but then you have the yells that go along with the actual pitches, and that makes it feel more dynamic overall. I'm really fascinated by the way we have eyes at different times. I also keep looking at mouths next to mics and trying to see how often we have singing through teeth versus a more open sound. Obviously, on the word I, you need to open it. If you did the R, that's not the right sound. I get a much more clear vowel, but there are times when I get a slightly muffled sound, and I think that's when the teeth are closing. But of course, we never get to see the mouth for a long period of time, so can't know for sure. It's very artfully shot and very interesting. The eyes are almost creepy.
I am a worldly, for I am a man. I was a creature before I could stand. I will remember before I forget. Before I forget that. I am a worldly, for I am a man. I was a creature before I could stand. I will remember before I forget. Before I forget that.
It's so fascinating the way he does these yells that sort of like go up in pitch and then just sort of disintegrate into pure distortion. I feel like that is one of his signature developed into style kind of moments. I really would like to hear more of his stuff to understand if that is truly a signature move or it's just something I've heard several times, but it strikes me as a very unique sound to him.
Creature before I can stand, I will remember before I forget. Before I forget that.
Whoa. I always get nervous when microphones drop. I'm going to go back back there. There's so many cool yells in there, and the way he did that slide up again as well. He's like saying, "Yes, it is indeed my signature thing, Elizabeth." Whoa. Oh man, that's brutal. I I feel a little bit in shock, honestly. It's like I feel like my hair is messed up, or I just blah. It's just intense. Okay, whoa. I'm gonna take a while to digest that, I can tell. But if you want to join me in some analysis of a bunch of other brutal music, check out this playlist over here. And may you fall more in love with music every day.